Hey everybody, Mike from Wrestling Then and Now. Thanks so much for checking out the YouTube channel. Make sure you click subscribe. I have a ton of stuff coming up. Now I want to put this clip in, all my Reno Riggins clips, because since we recorded, my good friend Reno Riggins has just informed me that he now has an exclusive action figure. You can order it now. You can pre-order it now. If anyone deserves an action figure, it's Reno Riggins. What a great guy. What a hard worker. What a great worker. So please support our friend Reno Riggins. You can go to Sham the Man 73. That's SHAM the Man 73 at gmail.com for all the information. Again, it's Sham the Man 73 at gmail.com for this pre-order. It's until February 11th to pre-order your Reno Riggins action figure. Reach out, support one of the good guys in wrestling, and thanks for watching.
I'd been working for WWF, and I was doing a lot of house shows for them too at the time, and so they, my booking schedule kind of got light with them. So I thought I'm going to pick up some days this month, and WCW reached out to me and said, "Hey, are you available for some dates?" I said, "Sure." So I'm in Nashville. They says, "Can you drive to Atlanta?" I said, "Yeah, I'd be there in 4 hours. That's no problem." Hop in the car, drive to Atlanta, and I go in there, and I told this story on Wolfie's podcast. So if anybody that listens to the both of them, that you're going to get a repeated issue of it. But I think it's a funny story. So I go in there, and I see a guy sitting at the table, and he's talking to other wrestlers. So I figure that's the guy checking folks in. I'm just going to go and let him know that introduce myself, let him know that I'm here, and whatever you guys need, I'm here to work. And so he said, "Yeah," he said, "I heard you're a very good worker, that you're a good hand, and we'd like for you to work on the second hour, and we'd like you to work with Flair." Right out of the gate.
Wow.
And I was like, whoa. So personally, I was stoked. I was excited, nervous. I'll say that too. And so, Flair gets there a little later on, and they take me in there and introduce me to Flair. Flair, this is, Reno, you're going to be working with him tonight. And he looks up at me. He's sitting there playing cards with a few other guys. And he looks at me, stands up, and shakes my hand. He said, "Reno," he says, "we're probably going to go about 10 or 12 minutes tonight. And he says, I understand that you are a very good worker. And he says, I'm looking forward to working with you." He even knew my name, So I was like, man, things are happening in the world of Reno Riggins, right? and sure enough, I went out there and worked with Flair. And, a lot of times too, and this from experience, you go out there and work with some guys, and they just want to look so entirely strong that they don't realize they've got to beat a worthy opponent. If they just go out there and chop meat for 5-10 minutes, and who cares, But Flair, he's of course he could work with a broomstick, so I'd not not trying to toot my own horn or anything like that. He's the man, right? But I started going down, started doing some TV, and then I get there at TV one day. Bobby Eaton comes up. I didn't even know he knew my name. I set my bags down. He comes up. He says, "Reno, who are you working with tonight?" I says, "I don't know. I just got here. I haven't seen the lineup or anything." He goes, "I'll be back in a minute." So he goes, and let me back up a minute. So I'm sitting here talking to this guy when I first got there, and I introduced myself. He says, "Okay, you're going to work with Flair and this and that." And he's talking to me for a few minutes, and I'm going, "What? I don't recognize this guy, but why do I recognize his voice?" Right? And so I had worked at WCW for like 6 months. And I'm just, hey, Jody, how you doing? Well, and I still didn't recognize until someone smartened me up, and they go, "That's Jody Hamilton, the assassin." I said, "You got to be kidding me." I said, "I'm such a big mark for him." I said, "I love, awesome. I thought he could get on there and do an interview." And the thing that really kind of turned my screw when I was a young wrestling fan watching wrestling is that I liked getting lost in the belief that this is real. It's like when you go to a movie, Sylvester Stallone, Rocky, he's not knocking out Apollo Creed. It's a movie, it's a role. But still, we go there for that fantasy of losing reality for whatever time we're going to lose it for. And so I just always thought that he gave a very intelligent interview. He always had on a coat and tie. He looked the part, and I thought, that guy right there is going to kill somebody. I mean, I believed it,
Right.
And so That's the type of wrestling that I grew up loving. But of course, here I am standing next to one of my idols and having conversations with him like I'm having with you, not knowing who he is. And then when I figured out who he was, I had to go give him a big hug.
That's awesome.
You know, so Bobby Eaton, he comes to me and he says, "Hey, who you working with tonight?" I said, "I don't know. You know, I just got here, right?" So he goes and gets my match changed. They got me going out there with, I don't know, Sid Vicious or somebody like that. And you know what those kind of matches are. No disrespect to Sid, but for a small guy like us, it's 10, 12 minutes of pain, right? But he goes and gets the match changed, and he goes, "Reno, you're going to work with me." They want us to go about maybe 15 minutes. So here I am, WCW. I'm going to work with Bobby Eaton, who probably his face should be on the Mount Rushmore of pro wrestling. And brother, went out there and just tore it down. Had the doggone, had at that point probably had one of the best matches in my career at that point. And I was just, you know, riding on cloud nine, you know. And then my dates really started picking up with WWF. But I'll say this. So, and you know this too. I went and did a TV taping for WWF, and back then they were marathons. Every night was 3 or 4 hours of tapings. They taped about 6 syndicated wrestling shows at the time. So you could easily on a weekend, from a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and going back to Monday, you could easily have 20 plus hours of pro wrestling on television. And so I went and worked at WWF, and I was on every taping that night. I was on every taping, and I think even a battle royal there at the end. Then the next night, same thing. I was thought, man, because usually, you know, if you really pull a heavy load on the first night, the next night you might get off, or you might just have one easy match, or you know, Chief Strongbow and Tony Gurria and Rene Goulet, all those guys were all road agents back there, and they always kind of at that point started kind of take care of me a little bit, and really a whole lot. They I can't say enough great things about those guys either. But so I do all that. So then WCW called me and said, "Hey, we had somebody break their leg or something. Can you come and do a few days and do TV?" Sure. So here I go. I had about a 6-7 day stretch where I'm in the Northeast and I'm in the South, and I'm on the road every night. Probably one of the best financial weeks that I ever had, you know, to that point. And so same thing, WCW. It was a marathon taping. I was on every show that they taped, first night and second night. So just so happened on one weekend, all the tapings that I did with WWF and all the tapings that I did with WCW aired, and I can't remember when all that was, but it seems like I had more airtime than Hogan, Savage, Flair, all them combined. I thought if anybody is a non-educated fan of professional wrestling, they're going, "Now Reno Riggins, he don't win many matches, but boy, he sure is in a lot of them," right?
He's there.